Hey, it's been a minute. So, this is my first sort of venture into video essays and videos in that realm. If you want to see me do more of this, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do what you gotta do here. But yeah, this is a 4-part series on rockumentary filmmaking. Each episode I'm gonna compare 2 movies, talk about their depictions of the real, and kind of frame that through a different lens each time so it stays interesting for you guys. But I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's get going. Let's do it. The contemporary rockumentary, though a younger subgenre of documentary filmmaking, it traces its roots back to both cinema and rock and roll's mainstream commercial rise in the 1950s. These films and artists emerged from the blues, gospel, soul, and R&B booms of decades prior, and developed alongside advancements and movements in documentary filmmaking. Cinema verite in France and direct cinema in North America, for example, provided alternative outlets of expression and preservation in not only syncing sound and audio as one, but also capturing what we deem to be real through the medium of film. In the world of rock music, what is real, or is any of it real? Well, of the many different types of films to have captured a snapshot of an artist or group's legacy, it is the concert rockumentary that arguably remained the most unbiased, whilst also benefiting the most from these technologies. The filmmakers and performers, after all, saw vast optimizations and conveniences in translating stage to screen, such as an increase in camera movement, which curated a more intimate depiction of events. By extension, these aforementioned changes can enhance viewers' perceptions of what is real. In exploring the question of reality, an unfortunate or binding facet of rockumentary filmmaking emerges through its natural link to commerce, as bands and artists, not unlike the albums they record or the merchandise they create, are products meant to be sold to an audience. Other than the artists, what exactly is being sold here, and how do the filmmakers use the medium of film to illustrate this? Well, 2 concert documentaries in particular, the T.A.M.I. Show and Monterey Pop, emerge as examples of films which, at face value, appear nearly identical under conventions set out by the genre, yet diverge in overall messaging and commercialization. In the following video essay, I'm going to compare elements of cinematography and score in an effort to uncover to what extent the concert rockumentary can be commodified. Wow, that was a handful to say. Hopefully you guys are still with me. Let's keep going. In beginning with our 2 films' opening title sequences, ostensible similarities begin to emerge. It is here where the names of all performers are superimposed over B-roll footage of their surrounding environments, images underscored with an introductory song. The addition of these scenes are quite unique to the medium of film and thus create a separation between the concert viewing and the television viewing audiences. This is an important distinction I'll touch on later, so keep that in mind. While these resemblances ground the films in a creative template, genre-focused similarities begin to dwindle as core differences in the film's presentations surface. It is in this preliminary number where Monterey Pop prioritizes the spectacle of the venue over the T.A.M.I. Show's focus on the concert itself. In looking at the former, our introduction to Monterey Pop through color and rapidly shifting fractal imagery culminates visually in an organic and bubbly excitement for the show ahead. As the names of our performers slowly appear one after another, the accompanying song directs our collective excitement to that of the locale. Viewers are invited through the very medium of song in which they paid to hear to come to San Francisco to, quote, feel more, a sentiment further reinforced as Scott McKenzie's San Francisco, Be Sure to Wear Flowers in Your Hair begins playing soon after. Shots of concert-goers enjoying themselves outside act as a physical embodiment of the 1960s free-spirited youth culture. The pops of color and patterns, the sense of community and artistry, the dancing and the physical expression, these are all positive signs of the culture on display which sell the viewer a version of American life, fashion, and overall wonder all too synonymous with the summer of love. On the other hand, the TAMI Show presents itself as a much faster-paced concert experience, grounded not in its location, but rather in its time and in its lineup. The black and white film opens with a freeze frame of two boys who, once unfrozen, begin riding their motorcycles to the show. Movement and strong leading lines pervade several shots in this opening sequence, thus instilling within the viewer an immediate sense of urgency. Jan and Dean's opening theme song, Here They Come From All Over the World, lists all of the performers in its lyrics, a gesture which, when placed under shots of the performers traveling to the same venue as the audience, directs this excitement towards the musicians and the event. This extremity is further reflected in how the performers' names appear on the screen. In contrast to the colorful, breathable, spaced-out names that Monterey Pop shows its audience, TAMI instead throws all 13 artists up on the screen at once in a 6-second period, as if to overwhelm the viewer and sell this performance and its artists as a once-in-a-lifetime commodity. And that's exactly what this concert is, a product to be purchased. Where Monterey Pop exists as a concert and community-building experience outside of the realm of filmmaking, the TAMI Show was an event blocked to be shot on film and then put to television. Now, this idea of a filmed and live audience naturally begs some questions. Who is meant to be seen? Who is the real audience? Do these audiences have agency whatsoever? In his work, Rock and Film: Cinema's Dance with Popular Music, scholar David James, through shots of audience members and performers together, argues the two works have struck a healthy audience-performer balance, or relationship typically lost in other works of its time. As far as Monterey Pop's cinematography is concerned, I'm inclined to agree. Director D.A. Pennebaker and his team film the musicians largely through medium close-up and close-up shots, giving the individual performers a much more intimate platform by which to relay their art and messaging to their film audience. Reinforcing this are shots of performers' feet, instruments, and faces that allow the lens to replace the eye of the observer and realistically shift focus around the stage. Then, in cutting back to the awe-stricken faces, we too can feel or identify with these emotions. Furthermore, through the same framing devices, the film positions live audience members at the same level as the performers and thus pits them as equal. We see this in the film's concluding scene, which captures audience applause from within the crowd itself, merging the television audience with the live one. Now, where I ultimately push back on James's arguments is in watching the TAMI Show. I feel as though the elaborate staging and numerous backing dancers frame headlining acts and live concert-goers as second to the greater spectacle around them. Singers are positioned further away from the camera than that of Monterey Pop, dwarfing their presence on stage in the process, and yeah, though the live studio audience's cheering bridges the gaps between songs, close-up shots of audience members are left aside in favor of wider angles which capture the concert's scope. When artist close-ups do actually happen throughout the film, many of them are coded in this blurry vignette that not only changes the experience for the television viewing spectators, but also robs the live audience of that same viewing pleasure. Where Monterey Pop struck that aforementioned balance between both audiences, I think the TAMI Show's messaging is directed to and sold to a much smaller group. That's not to say the filmmakers are at fault here, far from it. I am rather drawing focus to these differences to highlight rockumentary filmmaking's varied explorations of commodity, celebrity, and spectacle. By contrasting what is being sold and who it is being sold to, the TAMI Show and Monterey Pop reveal themselves as works which disseminate ideology in very differing ways. Cinematographic and sonic elements combine in presenting altering selling points to the film's viewing public. In one case, it's a lifestyle which strikes this natural audience-performer relationship, and in the other, it's an act which favors its television viewing audience over its live one. From the opening sequences of each film, formal elements of the medium on display, including camera placement and editing, alter depictions of the real and in the process cater to, or challenge, audience needs and expectations for what a positive entertainment experience may look like. As the concerts commence, the use of framing becomes an integral facet of the texts, useful in directing focus to either the culture or the spectacle which surrounds the show itself. Both films' directors understood these constraints and utilized the concert film structure as a framework by which to reveal the medium's own complexities as a tool to persuade, entertain, and educate audiences on a mass scale. Thanks for watching. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I've made a bunch of videos about music stuff in the past. I've done some music reviews. I've talked about musical artists I like, so check those out if you want to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is part 1 of a 4-part series, so if you want to see the rest of it, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment, do what you gotta do. And yeah, that's it. Thanks guys for watching, and have a good one.